Bianca bringing you another episode of I Got You, Sis Chronicles. Stop trying to play with me. Avoilan, my husband, is back for another episode of the Chronicles with us. And we will have another guest joining us a little later. So this week we're going to answer the question. The question was posed that if a man has two baby mothers, what would possess a woman to put herself in a situation to be baby mama number 3? So we'll get into that a little later. I do have an update on the Jacob Blake situation. He has been released from the hospital and he is now in a spinal recovery, a rehab for, the recovery of his spine. So he's currently going through that. Don't know where, don't know what. There hasn't been anything new with regards to his case. It's still under investigation. So that's all I have on that. With the Breonna Taylor case, general in the case, what has been under a lot of scrutiny after the release of the recordings. Number one, he released the recordings on last week at the agreed upon time, and the 20-hour long recording came without a transcript. So he pretty much just released it and said, have at it. He did admit that he never, ever recommended to the grand jury that the 2 officers that were involved in the shooting be recommended for a murder charge.
But let's talk about the problem with grand juries. It's time to get rid of them. Grand jury proceedings are shrouded in secrecy. The proceedings are led solely by a prosecutor. In this case, the prosecutor didn't even ask the jury to consider murder as a possible charge. Prosecutors routinely give police officers preferential treatment because they need the officers for other cases. Those in favor of abolishing grand juries state that prosecutors often easily sway the jury, and there's no system of checks and balances since there is no judge or defense attorney present during grand jury proceedings. As a result, the jurors just follow the prosecutor's lead. Breonna Taylor protests continue because once again a grand jury has refused to hold the police accountable. One of the jurors on the grand jury expressed concern about the prosecution. Indeed, a judge had to order the prosecutor to turn over the evidence. These steps wouldn't even have been necessary if we just did away with the secret grand jury. But it's not that simple. Short of a constitutional amendment, the elimination of the grand jury seems unlikely. However, we can certainly work to change the process by lifting the secrecy. Removing the secrecy would require an amendment to the state's criminal procedure rules. You should call your state representatives and demand that change. The good news is that Kentucky is one of the states that allows a second grand jury to ensure prosecutors will be fair and competent. So Kentucky, let's impanel a new grand jury with a new prosecutor. Justice and peace are at stake. And most importantly, Breonna Taylor deserves it.
So there are some different options that we have, and we definitely have to use our voices and really reach out to our legislators, our local legislators, to try to get this process changed state by state. Vote. And then continue the process going forward. Do you have anything that you want to add?
Vote. 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 That's all I got.
All right. We're going to add in our special guest now. All right.
All right, everybody. So now we have joining us my sister, Tori, to enter into the conversation. So the topic for today, to explain it a little better, it is based off of a meme that I saw. Okay. And the meme said, if a man already has 2 baby mothers, okay, so the man already has 2 baby mothers, what would possess a woman to become baby mama number 3? It then went on to say, is it a mental illness? Is it, like, what is it? Because they were completely and utterly confused by this very thing happening. Okay, so let me just start off by saying this. There is a choice in who you lay down with and what you do while you lay down with that person. Okay, so let us not say that, you know, it just happened. Okay, you know, because things just happening prior to it, you got some choices to make. Okay, when I was out in these streets doing my thug fizzle, okay, you know, my sister was on birth control and wrapped it up as much as possible. Okay, so I mean, you just gotta be real. Okay, it is what it is. You know, and then I also read that the birth control was more effective if taken at the same time every day. So because I knew I was fooling with some us boys, I set an alarm on my phone. And when I heard it go off and say, I'm still standing, that's when I knew it was time to take my birth control, okay? Yes, Monica's still standing was the ringtone for the birth control time. Okay, so if you're out here in these streets, you're doing your thug, you're living your life, you need to put yourself in the predicament. You don't even put yourself in a predicament to be anybody's baby mother, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, if that's not what you're ready for. There's ways to prevent that. So that's what I will say, because I don't know who's going to be watching this, so that's what I will say for anybody who is confused and would like to say, it just happened. All right, I'm gonna let you talk first, because you seem like you got a lot to say.
I think, first off, everybody's not gonna be that disciplined. I got a ringtone when it's time. That's just not real life. Real life is not. Out here in these streets, they gonna do things that adults do. Let's be honest. Everybody
adults.
Right.
Not adults. No, it's different.
The average adult is not going to be on that type of regimented schedule. They're going to be out here living their life. So that's how.
No, that's the difference between an adult and someone who's still a child.
Right. You just want to let people know that you are in control of your destiny.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is very true. This is very true. Yeah, of course. People have a say in what they do and their actions, of course. But, we got to keep it real for the audience at home. Like, it's not just, hey, this is my schedule. Like, nah, things happen. You go out, you meet people, you catch a vibe, things happen.
All right, Tori, please give
But you know what irritates me the most? The morning after pill. People rely on the morning after pill like it's a vitamin. I cannot. If you are doing that much, get fixed. I know some females that have been pregnant every year, and every year they had that morning after pill, okay?
That's crazy.
No, that's true too. Okay, so on the topic, this is my thing. It depends on the man, okay? Because a lot of times you can have situations where you have somebody who is littering all over the place. You got Future, Sierra became baby mama number 3 or 4, and now he on like 8. So she got out when she could, one and done with him.
Yeah.
You got who else you got littering the world? Fetty Wap. Okay, he got about 4 baby mamas. Basika came through, got hers. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the thought process between stuff like that?
It's love. Lust. One of the two. I mean, I look at it like this. Like, we were just talking about this earlier. Our favorite show is The Shot, so we always watch The Shot. And one of my favorite characters on the show is Emmett. And if anybody who's watched The Shot knows that Emmett is he loves the lady.
He's for the street. So if he is for the street, ladies, if he is for the streets, why? Number one, why would you, if you are able to get pregnant, then you are putting yourself at risk to get an STD, HIV. Come on now. So
all of those.
Let's not even talk about being his baby mama number 10. Okay.
All of those are well-reasoned statistics and research shows. We talking real life. People don't.
In real life, why would you get knocked up by the community team?
We live in Atlanta. Why put yourself
I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying what actually happens. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you should expose yourself that way. What I'm also saying, going back to Emmett, is Emmett on the show has 3 baby mamas. The first 2, he was still trying to find himself. But you know what?
He was trying to find
But
himself.
you know what happened with the last one? He found love. And guess what happened on the end of the last season? They got engaged and they got married. So
And he slept with his business partner.
what's the saying? That did happen. For those of y'all who ain't seen the show, spoiler alert, but what's the saying? On your third try, right? Like 1, 2, third time's a charm. Exactly. So on your third time's a charm. So I think it's a perfect lead in to what you're saying. Like sometimes
Because you're saying it's okay for people, so it's okay to impregnate this one, impregnate this one, but when you impregnate this one, make sure you marry that one.
sometimes it takes time to
Oh
find
my
yourself.
God.
Okay, back to my point. My point is it depends on the man, because if the man is taking care of his children, he's taking care of his responsibilities. I gave the example to Avoilan earlier. I said, man has a baby with somebody super young. Maybe they was in high school or straight out of high school, has one. Then he gets married and has children with a wife. They get divorced. All right, so now we're technically on baby mama number 2. So anybody you meet, if y'all decide to have children together, then they're baby mama number 3. But that man has his life and situation together. One of his children is older, much older. And then, like I said, it's an ex-wife. So that was a situation that they were together and they had a family life, a family dynamic. So hopefully their co-parenting dynamic is under control.
Yes.
Because as a woman, that being single, that's what you're thinking about. You're like, I don't want to deal with baby mamas.
No.
So I did have a rule when I was dating. I was like, you can have one kid. If you had 2, it had to be one baby mama.
Yep.
That was my rule. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not putting myself in that situation because I don't want to have to go in my bag and throw these hands to the mother of your child. I want to be respectful to your children's mother. You know what I'm saying? But if you come out of pocket, I know what it is. So you're more likely to have that situation if it's more than one baby mama you're dealing with.
I mean, listen, just for the audience to say, everybody who's listening to this show has had or knows in their family where there's been either some ghetto twins, some hood twins. There's been
Hold on now.
instances.
Hold on now.
Let's keep it real. There's been instances where there's been a couple of different baby mamas or even baby fathers in the family. So this is something that this is not uncommon. Like keep it up. This happens a lot. So I feel like it's one of those things where things, to me, like the moral story is things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't look at it and just think, oh well, you got to read all these books and you got to take your pill.
But why does it have to be the normal now? Statistically, they look at African American household as a single mother household. Why does the new normal have to be an African American man running around making all these babies with all these different women? But it's okay because on the third try, marry her.
So here's my thing. I'm not advocating for that lifestyle. What I am saying though is that it happens. Like, could there be more prevention? Of course. Could people be a lot more responsible? Of course. But if we're talking about somebody potentially finding love, finding a partner, I have people, in my family where they may have found love with the third person years down the road. That might have been somebody in their late 30s, 40s, a responsible family, but there may have been, the third baby mama or third wife or third situation after, they started getting together. So I've seen that play out. All I'm saying is that it happens. It's not some sort of uncommon thing. Is it okay? I don't know. We got to leave it up to the viewer to decide that, but it happens. That's what I'm saying.
Now, I'm not saying that it's not okay. I'm saying it, personally, it's just not for me and my choices and what I want for my girls. But if that's the road that they have to travel, then, I'm a support because I can't predict. Everybody different. I'm a support and encourage something otherwise, of course.
Right.
That is not it.
No, I don't think anybody's like, yes, let's have as many kids with as many different partners as possible. I don't think that's the answer. But I think if we don't like try to figure out how to solve it, that's a different conversation. But as far
Condoms.
as how people should, as far as how people should
This
see it,
conversation. It could be this
yeah, so we
conversation.
can bring out your statistics and your schedule and implement that as one of the prevention methods.
Yeah.
That could be
Find a
one
good ringtone.
Yeah, find a good ringtone
A
from.
motivational ringtone. Never would have made it is a good one.
A contemporary R&B artist of your choice.
But like an issue that I have with it is like when people do get in that situation and the man has multiple baby mothers, but they choose not to have their kids interact.
Yeah, that's irresponsible. Yeah, you got to still try to keep because it's a family at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you think about some people, like you talk about Future, you said NBA YoungBoy, Fetty Wap, like those are big families, and those families should interact because they're all a family, even if they're not married. So I do think, like, especially if you, let's say you get to the third baby mama, like there's got to be some sort of conversation. It's like, listen, I got 2 kids. If you want to be a part of this bandwagon, you got to understand we got to all.
I mean, once pregnant, you're a part of it. It's not an option.
Right. So you got to understand, you got to be a part of this family. It's not just going to be a separate entity here, and then I got my other kids, my other baby mamas over here. It's got to be, listen, we are a family, and everybody gets respect, everybody gets love, everybody gets attention.
No. That's not ultimately the case. You have to look at that. Some kids do lose attention. If you're off having 8 or 11 kids, there are kids that are lost.
Well, I'm saying they should. So
okay.
as the man who was out here Johnny Appleseeding it everywhere, you need to have a conversation with everybody, just like my guy Emmett did on The Shine. And he brought everybody in. He had them at the table. Hey, y'all, listen. This is what we're going to do. Please don't take me to court. I'm going to take care of y'all. It needs to be like.
And that's always the situation. They make all these children, and then the words out of their mouth is, please don't take me to court.
We need to be more responsible. Not denying that. But I'm saying that act is an act of responsibility, though. Listen, this is what it is. Here's how we move forward. Please don't take me back to court. So there needs to be some level of like responsibility somewhere in there, because clearly responsibility didn't happen on the front end because you got all these kids. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so that is the male responsibility. Okay, and that is after it happened. I got you since Chronicles. It's all about moving the culture forward. Okay.
Yes.
So in these topics that we're talking about, the best thing is for people to take responsibility and accountability before. Let's be proactive and not reactive in these situations. If I meet a guy and he already has 2 baby mamas, I'm watching. I'm watching to see how you interact with them. Are you taking care of those children? How do you treat them? How do those baby mamas?
Financial responsibility.
Financial responsibility. How do they feel about you? And it's not, they just bitter baby mama.
Yep.
No, they mad at you for a reason, boo. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that they just want to be with your trying to tell. Like, what is it? So that's the thing that you have to, really focus in on as a woman. You have to be observant of those things. I don't understand that little baby, Yaya, Floyd Mayweather's daughter. She's 20, and now you're pregnant with NBA YoungBoy's baby. Okay. I'm just confused because she got to be baby mama number 4 or 5, and he likes them little young, silly girls. And, and I say silly because you're young, you don't have that wisdom, and you're not, you don't have been seasoned by life. So you have those little girls right there where not necessarily saying that he don't take care of his kids, but you see this man don't know how to have a real connection with the woman. He doesn't know how to sustain anything outside of having sex, making babies, and keeping them moving. So why do you think it's going to be different for you if that's not what he's been able to do or proven to do?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I just think one of the things we got to look at is that there's so many different kind of scenarios. We can't just automatically go to like, this guy is just being reckless and just crazy with these women. There could be legitimate situations that pop up where, I've had 2 kids and 2 other relationships, and now this is number 3. So they're not all 100% reckless. Do I agree that guys should be out here doing that?
No.
So
Okay.
so they're all
No,
just
cut it out. It
crazy
takes you
records.
one time to learn the
Yeah.
okay? You had it one and it's like, oh, I got caught up in the moment.
Yeah, it's good, but not baby number 2 good.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? So then number 2 is like, I don't know.
But we talk about being in that position to be number 3.
No, but I'm just saying though. I'm saying you can't keep doing the same thing, acting like it was oops or it was just a situation, whatever. Love ain't that daggone good to just keep popping out these babies.
I'm just saying.
And I also feel like the responsibility is on both sides. Like,
Of
it's not
course.
just the men, it's women too, both sides.
It takes 2 to
And a
touch
lot
that
of
slide.
times
So.
men like to put it all on the women. And
Yeah.
that's another thing about that question of what would possess a woman to put herself in a situation to be baby mom number 3. The whole thing about birth control is completely and utterly put on women. But I read something that was talking about, it pretty much just said like women can only have 1, 2, maybe 2 babies technically, you know what I'm saying, in a year, just for the simple fact, like it was like an overlap, like you had it, then you got pregnant again and had it. So that's the only scenario where a woman can have 2 babies in 1 year. But a man could literally get about 4 women pregnant a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is it my responsibility if you just multiplied what I can do by hundreds of thousands?
Come on, man. I know y'all hear me on this. Like, what
I
you
don't
saying?
like that fight violence,
I mean, listen. It's like we said, it takes 2 to tango.
No. The responsibility of birth control is on both sides. And when God blesses me with a son, which He will, thank the Lord, but when God blesses me with the son, my son is going to understand. Do not trust these hoes
At all.
Birth control. You need to wrap it up.
If she says she on birth control, use 2 condoms. That's my rule.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta wrap it up. Just like I tell my brother. There's fun girls, and then there's girls that you bring home. Okay? Have your fun, but protect yourself while you're having your fun.
They protect them. So especially in these corona times, your health and your safety is of the utmost importance. So if you lay down with somebody, you need to know their status. Like, that's super important. You should be using protection at all times. But let's be real. Things do happen. Relationships go and sometimes fall apart, and sometimes there are multiple kids involved. Not saying that that's the way that things should be, but it happens.
So do you believe that women that place themselves in those situations have mental disorders?
No. Same way I don't think guys who put themselves in situations have mental disorders. I do think there may be a lack of responsibility. There might be a lack of prioritizing what's important in their lives because you got 2 other kids and now you got another one you got to make room for. So I think there are other issues. I don't think you have a mental illness because you lay down and the 3rd time you got another kid on the way. I don't agree with that.
Ultimately, it's a cycle. It's just a repeat of what they know.
This is true. We got
and in most of these instances, it wasn't just 3 babies. These, you know what I'm saying? They out here with 2 baby mamas and however many babies with all of these with these 2 baby mothers. And you got to think about all the women that said yes when they told them to go get the abortion. You got to think about all the women that said yes when they told them to take the morning after pill. You got to think about all the ones that are not, with the baby for you to be able to see. So, you know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with somebody who is for the street, you got to know that there's a mentality that abortion and the morning after pill is a form of birth control. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that, you live life and you make decisions. And even if you do become baby mama number 3, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, no.
It is not the end of the world. But from that point on, I need you to make better decisions. And the example, like I said, Sierra was with Future, and I really, truly believe that she thought that she could love that man to make him better. because she was with all the baby mamas. They had a little meet and greet, had all the kids together, everything. This was before she got pregnant and had Future. So she was still just girlfriend or whatever. Fiance, I can't remember the order of things. But they had a meeting with all of the baby mothers together, and it was supposed to be copacetic and everything else. And then next thing you know, she became baby mama. And that fool ended up cheating on her like he did everybody else. And she decided to move on. And when she took that time to herself to get herself together, and then eventually got with her now husband and has been able to have 2 more children with him, they just welcomed their 3rd child. So, you know, there is growth. There is a future after becoming unintended. There is a way after that. But you gotta learn. You gotta learn from that type of stuff. Like, don't keep putting yourself in that situation, because it just doesn't make sense. And like I said before, if anything, prevent that situation. Like, let's try not to have that situation in the first place. So
Some people
a lesson to be learned. Learn from other people.
No, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, even if you do happen to be that other person's 3rd relationship where a child is involved, like you said with Sierra, that was her 1st child. So after that, she got with Russell Wilson. They got married and have now a whole family. So there's other scenarios. It doesn't mean that if you're somebody's 3rd person who has a child with them that you have 3 kids. That could be your first person, your first baby, and then still be able to.
Right, but that's fine, and that's her first baby. But all the things that she goes through in order to make sure that baby is well taken care of by that man that already had all of those other children with women, and then the fact that they did not end amicably and they still don't have quite the best relationship, so a lot of things have to be handled within the courtroom for them. So understand that just because you move on and are able to have a better life, you still dealing with that mistake with that man, because you still got a child to raise with that person. So that's a forever type of decision. So that's why I say, handle your business beforehand. Set that alarm clock, take that birth control on time so that it's more effective. Make sure these Negroes is wrapping it up. And if you're allergic to latex, boo-boo, there is plethora of different materials to have condoms made out.
Lambskin,
Lambskin, polyurethane, or whatever that P word is. It's a whole lot.
But for some women, it's a lifestyle. That's their investment. That's their bag.
True. Raise a glass to that. That's true. We're gonna keep it real. Wednesdays. That's true.
Okay, but some women be
Yeah, see, look at the disappointment on her face.
Yeah, it was a look of disappointment that just flashed across the
I'll
screen.
be honest, I have an opinion about child support. I don't think that it helps the family dynamic.
No,
I think that it destroys the Black family dynamic.
it does.
So that's why I made that phase when females are going after a bag, because it's not a solution, and it does not increase the relationship between that child and their father.
No, it doesn't.
But that's another episode.
Yeah.
Truly. So what did we learn here today, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, we learned that not everyone gets 3 tries. We also learned that protection starts with yourself first, ultimately.
Yes.
It's your decision. Take charge, your life.
Yep.
Yes.
True.
So I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for joining us tonight about this topic.
Yes.
It was a funny, meme, and a lot of people probably reacted with the laugh, but it's real life for a lot of people. There's real issues that come out of discussing that. So I appreciate y'all being able to go all over the place with me to try to hit every little thing that goes along with the topic. So I appreciate that. Everybody, if you'll just make sure that you hit that like button, that share button, and that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of I Got You. All right, peace.